Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to Growing Through It, a podcast dedicated to bringing you clarity so that you can harness your curiosity and be the creator of your life. Hosted by me, Shanae Rowe. Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back. This is episode 3, Coulds, Shoulds, and Have-Tos, how your language is fucking with your happiness. Please excuse the profanity, I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not. Because I really want to emphasize how the language that we use impacts our behaviors and our habits. So, how many times have you guys been hanging out with friends, doing something you enjoy, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, sorry, I have to go. I have to go to the gym now. Or I should probably go and do my laundry, do some chores. I have to go to the supermarket. And without even realizing, you're saying these words like could, should, have to, and you're subconsciously telling yourself that the task that you're about to do is a chore, it's a hassle or an effort, or it's something for the too hard basket. And in doing so, this kind of language is inadvertently telling your brain that you don't want to do it. So in a way, you're sort of training your brain to think of these everyday tasks as something that's too hard, and you're telling your brain that these tasks are a lot harder than they are, and you're sort of like procrastinating and putting something off because you've already worked yourself up about it's something that you have to do. It's something that you should do. And I'm sure that you, just as much as the next person, knows that we don't really like doing things when our brain doesn't perceive them as fun or enjoyable or easy. It's just how it is. It's just the way our brains work. But there is a way that you can make more of a conscious effort to find enjoyment in doing tasks and chores and everyday things that maybe aren't as enjoyable as we would like. So let's talk about it. Let's break down these 3 phrases, could, should, and have to. And I want to talk about how we use them in our everyday lives and give you guys some scenarios of when you might find yourself subconsciously saying them. And as well as this, I also want to touch on why it has become such a habit for a lot of people to be using could, should, and have to, and how it does impact our mindset and our thought patterns and how we sort of view the world, if it's in more of a negative or positive light. So, the first of the 3 is could. You probably use it a fair bit, maybe not as much as should or have to, but we tend to use this one a fair bit. Think of a time when maybe, it's a nice day outside, you've just finished work and you're like, wow, I could really go for a run right now. Like, this is like perfect weather conditions to go be active, to go exercise. Or you're in a pretty good routine of going to the gym most days, but today you've just had a hard day at work and you're just thinking to yourself, like, I could definitely go to the gym. Like, I do enjoy it when I'm there, but, I could go. I just can't really be bothered right now. So we tend to use the word could in our phrases when we're putting something off. And it's usually when we want to say no to ourselves or to other people. And it's sort of like a maybe. It's sort of like when, your friend asks you to go out and you're really not feeling it. So you tell them a maybe because you don't want to give them a no and disappoint them, but in your mind, like, you're probably not going to do it. So yeah, we use the word could when there's an opportunity present for us, but our motivation and our excitement is just not as high as it needs to be in order to complete the task. To go for a run, to go be active, to go to an event when we really don't have the energy to. So yeah, just like maybe, we use could in sentences when our brain has kind of already decided that there is an answer and there is a solution to a problem we're faced with. So like going for a run, it's like, I could go for a run. But when you do use the word could, it's as if you've trained your brain to be like, well, this kind of means no. Like, we're not giving ourselves a solid yes to going and being active and moving our bodies. So we're going to take it as a no. And it's definitely one of those words that are prominent when we're trying to put off rejection, when we don't want to let someone down. So, as well, like what I was saying, when your friend asks you to go out, you give them a maybe when you don't really feel up to it. You say, oh, I could definitely like give it a go. Maybe I'll come out. I could come see the gig. Like, no biggie. I definitely could. But we kind of use it as a way to delay letting someone down or rejecting someone or ourselves. So that is could. The next one is should. And this one is pretty common to use, and it very easily slips our mind. Like a lot of the time we don't even know that we're saying it. And we tend to use it when we have an obligation to uphold to ourselves or to others. So think like you haven't seen one of your friends in a while. Maybe it's been a couple years. You guys went to school together or uni together, and you've sort of just been on your own separate journeys for a while. But for some reason, like they're on a little holiday or work's brought them up and they're in the same town or city that you are in at the moment, and they've reached out to you. And you're like, oh, well, I haven't seen them in a while. I mean, I don't really want to go. Like, I'm not that keen on going, but I probably should. And so with should, we tend to use it when we don't necessarily want to do something, but that thing feels like a responsibility or an obligation. So it's something that you have to uphold. And with this one, your desire to do something isn't there, but you feel that it is a duty. The thing that is pushing you to actually commit is that it feels like a responsibility. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And like even think about the times where you're chatting with a friend, you're doing something and you say something like, "Oh, I should go and do my washing now. I should really feed the animals before I go make dinner. I should really go home and cook some dinner and have an early night." And you're not saying it really because you're excited, and you're not going to do it because you really want to. You've kind of convinced your brain that it's a hassle and it's something that you don't really want to do. So you're just sort of preemptifying this idea that it's not going to be enjoyable. You're not going to have fun. It's just a hassle. It's a chore and something that you're doing to get on with your life. So that is should. And now moving on to have to. I think this one we use so often and we're not even aware of how negatively it can impact the way we view things. And we basically use it for everything that we don't really feel like doing. Exercise, chores, tasks, obligations, um, literally everything. And I honestly think that when we use the statement, I have to, we are basically not taking any responsibility for the role that we play in our own life and our own happiness, which is crazy. Like, we are in charge of ourselves, of our futures, and we are in full control of how we want to create our life. And I think by using the phrase like, I have to do something, you're basically giving up that control. You're basically saying, like, I am just a character in this big simulation that is the world, and I have no control over any of the choices that I make. And just like in the first episode where I talked about things are happening for you, not to you, I think that if you definitely get into the habit of using I have to do something way too often, then you're kind of living in the mindset that, yeah, everything that happens is happening to you. And yeah, you kind of get into this victim mindset that the world's working against you. When in reality, like, we have full control over all of our decisions. Like, we don't have to go and do anything. It is a privilege. If you think about it in that perspective, it really helps you to complete the things that are an obligation and the things that you do have to do. But yeah, when we use the term have to, I'm going to go to an extreme here. But what I have noticed is that the people who do use it very often seem to view life as something that has control over them. So, like I was saying before, it's like you don't have control over anything in your life. You're not the creator of your own existence and your future. You're just sort of letting the world happen to you. You've given in to all the rules of life and how we're supposed to live our life, and nothing's really in your favor. You're not taking the reins of your own existence. So, Yeah, think about all the times that you potentially have said that you have to do something. You've got to do this thing. You're probably like having the best day hanging out with friends at the beach, and you're like, oh, sorry guys, I've got to go home. Like, I have to do my washing. I've got to make my bed. I've got to cook dinner. I've got to meal prep for the week ahead. Like, sorry guys, this has been a great day, but I've got to go. How miserable does that make you sound, and how miserable does that make your life sound? You know, and it's like as well, like, oh, I've got to go get some groceries. Like, I have no food in the house. I have to go to the supermarket. Your whole tone is just so depressing. So, yeah, these are the three phrases that we all use. Like, I use them all the time, but you don't have to. You can be more conscious of it. But these are the three ones that I, honest to God, think that if you are not conscious of when you are using them and how you are using them, you're probably wiring your brain to view everyday things in your life as chores, as hassles, as really unenjoyable times. And we don't want that. Like, we want to be here enjoying the world, living our lives to the fullest. And yeah, that does mean doing hard things. You know, it does mean cooking dinner. It does mean doing your washing and changing your bed sheet so that you're not gross and smelly and disgusting. And that's just the reality of it. So instead of like feeling bad about yourself and getting yourself in a down mood because of the chores and things you have to do, why not make it more enjoyable? Why not train your brain so that you can turn a really boring, dull, crappy experience into something fun? So, how do we do that? It really is as simple as a tiny little adjustment of changing your vocab, switching out could, should, and have to with I get to. And that little switch, it might seem insignificant, but it is really a great way to reframe your mentality from sort of pessimistic to optimistic. And why does it, and it works so well because I get to comes from a place of gratitude. And if you don't know, gratitude has some wonderful powers. Like, if you think about it, nothing is infinite. Like, tasks, obligations, people, places, it's all, none of it is a sure thing. Nothing is a given. And so when you can learn to appreciate this, that everything is fleeting, you can come from a place of gratitude and start to acknowledge just how wonderful it is that you are able to see people, to move your body, to do chores that help you live in this world that we've created. And so replacing like should and have to and could with I get to, it rewires your brain to start thinking of tasks as something to look forward to rather than something that you're just dreading. And that's where I think gratitude is so powerful because it has the ability to rewire our brains. It has the ability to bring about positive emotions for situations and obligations and tasks that we might not be looking forward to. As well as that, gratitude is able to help us see the good in everything. It helps us with our sense of optimism and it helps us look forward to doing things that we might not even be happy about doing. Like, we are able to endure so much more if we have that sense of gratitude with us and have that sense that, you know, we are humans, we're here on this planet and nothing is forever. Everything is fleeting and nothing lasts forever. And so it's really important to make sure that we're making the most of the time we have here and really appreciating and savoring all those little moments. And I really do think that just switching out your vocab, and it really is just that tiny adjustment of changing your vocab to the phrase I get to instead of I should or I have to, that will make all of the difference. Think about it. Next time someone asks you to hang out and you're sort of like, oh, I probably should because, you know, they are a good friend of mine, but I don't really want to, but I mean, I should. Just reframe it. Think about it in a different light. Think, I get to hang out with this person. You know, if you haven't seen someone for a couple years, like your friends from back home in your hometown, and you haven't seen each other for a while, and they're visiting the town that you're currently staying in, and, you know, they hit you up, they want to hang out with you, they want to catch up, and you're like, oh, I probably should because it would be a good idea. Just think about it in a different light. I get to hang out with this person. I get to catch up with them and find out what they've been doing with their life in the last few years. It might be awkward at first because we haven't seen each other in the flesh for so long, but it would be a really good opportunity to connect with them, see how they're going, share a little bit about my story as well. And as well, on the whole exercise example, instead of thinking about movement as an obligation, think of it as an opportunity for yourself. You have this beautiful body that carries your soul, and it really is a privilege that we are here on earth as human beings. It's really transient and beautiful. So think of it in the light of, I get to exercise. I get to move my body in a way that makes me feel good about being myself. I get to express my feelings through movement and dance. I get to lift this 50-kilo plate in the gym. I get to make an income to pay for my gym membership so that I can set PBs in the gym and feel really good about myself and my body and what I am capable of doing. And I'm not even just talking about strength, like it is a mindset thing. When you start to appreciate your body as the physical capsule for your soul, it makes doing tasks a lot more enjoyable because it's like, wow, what are the chances that I'm here? What are the chances that I am on earth and that I have washing to do and I, you know, make my bed? Like, I can do all these things. I have the ability to do these things. I get to do it because I get to enjoy my life in the human form as a person with my friends and with my family and just like, and with nature and all of this stuff. So, and I mean, I might be getting a little bit off topic, and I'm not saying that you need to be turning your shoulds and have tos into this big spiel of gratitude about your earthly existence. I mean, you can if you want. I sure as hell enjoy doing it. But I'm just saying that when you do change your vocabulary from those things to, I get to do something, it really does make everything a lot easier and a lot more pleasant. And you can really find the joys in your existence that little bit more. So, like, at the end of the day, we want to be making conscious choices about the vocab that we use so that we can find joy within obligations and tasks that we need to fulfill. And if you're not consciously choosing phrases and words that work in harmony with the lifestyle that you want to live. And I'm sure for a lot of you, like the lifestyle that you want to be living is one filled with love and joy and fun. But if you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by thinking that the tasks you have to do are things that you have to do, then you are, without knowing, robbing yourself of the joy and the gratitude that you want to create in your life because you're kind of inadvertently believing that your life has control over you rather than you having control over your own life. And at the end of the day, like, no one is forcing you to do these tasks and things. Like, these obligations that you have, like, no one is actually making you do them. Like, we do live in a world where we have to pay bills and work jobs and make appointments and do all of these things. And I mean, if I could, I would definitely run away and be a little fairy in the forest. But that's kind of not the reality that we live on, unfortunately. No one is forcing you to do things that need to be done in the real world. I mean, unless you're living at home and you're with your parents and they're like forcing you to go out and do the gardening or something like that. By replacing words in your vocab with words that are filled with a lot more gratitude for your own existence, you make it a more enjoyable experience. You make paying bills more enjoyable, and you make going and washing your car a more fun time. Making your bed is a lot easier because you're like, wow, I get to do this. I have all of this power and gratitude within myself, and I have the ability to perform human tasks because I am a person. When you think about it like that, everything is easier. And even if it is just a little like I get to, and not, oh my God, I'm so excited to go make my bed because I have 2 arms and 2 legs and I can probably have a little boogie while I put the sheets on my bed. Like, you don't have to do that. It makes it even more fun, but like, you don't have to. But yeah, you are rewiring your brain and you're training it to find joy in the mundane, which is a pretty powerful tool to have. And as well as that, I just want to touch on like, nobody likes a complainer. Believe me, I used to be one. I used to complain about everything. Like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it sometimes. And I think because it was a learnt behavior for me, because I grew up around people who did use these words like, oh, I have to, oh, I probably should go and do this. Oh, I mean, I could hang out with Nancy, but I don't really want to because it's too much effort. Like, and so I sort of thought that complaining about tasks was how you communicate with people. But I've definitely grown since then and understood that it is so much more enjoyable to just do something and be grateful that you have the capacity and the ability to do it. And if you bring enthusiasm to normal everyday tasks, like, you're lifting the energy of yourself and the people around you. And everybody likes to hang out with enthusiastic people. Like, if you're at work, people are gonna love you if you're having a boogie while like making a coffee, like, it just makes everything more infectious and more fun and light and upbeat, which I think is how everybody should be moving through the world. Like, we want to be around people who lift us up and who see the fun in even the shittiest of experiences, if that is work or if that is household tasks or going to events that you don't really have the energy or motivation to go do. So, yeah, that is kind of the rundown on how your language could be fucking with your happiness. And I have a little task for all of you guys listening. It's really simple. It's not like homework or anything. You don't have to you don't have to do it. You get to do it. See what I did there? But no, like, start paying attention to how often you do use the phrases like could, should, and have to. Do you say those words, or are you actually already immune and you're a superhuman and you haven't fallen into the trap of like pessimism? Which, if that's so, hands off to you. I love you. Teach me your ways. But yeah, start paying attention to the vocabulary you use and the tones that you use them in. Start noticing how you talk to yourself before you do something that you don't really want to do, and notice certain phrases that you constantly find yourself repeating. Like, are they optimistic or are they pessimistic? How do they make you feel afterwards? And yeah, like, take note of it on a daily basis, because like, when I started noticing this about myself and others, like, I saw it everywhere. It's so crazy how things will be unconscious to you until like all of a sudden it's at the forefront of your mind and you start seeing it everywhere. Like, as soon as I noticed within myself that I would just like complain about doing the simplest of tasks that everyone has to go through. Like, when I started noticing that, I saw it in so many people and I was like, wow, we really are shooting ourselves in the foot purely by the words that we use. Like, words are so powerful. So yeah, like, after you start noticing that, I want you to consciously make an effort to switch out could, should, and have to and replace it with I get to, and see how it changes and see how it impacts your mindset. See how you feel about completing everyday tasks and upholding commitments and obligations and doing things you maybe don't really want to do. Yeah, switch it out and see how you feel. And a little side note, like, just try and be conscious of putting that into your vocab any chance you get. Like, correct yourself. If you catch yourself saying, oh, I have to go do this, just like catch yourself and be like, oh, no, actually, Shanae, you don't have to do anything, but you do get to go and do this. Like, it is a privilege. It is something we're grateful for. So yeah, see how you guys go with that. It does take 21 days to start a habit. So consistency is key here if you want to start changing your mindset and building your little habits where you fill your days with more positivity and enthusiasm and enjoyment. But yeah, 21 days to build a habit. And I actually just found out that it takes 90 days to make that habit part of your lifestyle, which I didn't know. I feel like they should have disclosed that information when they told us about building a habit, because the amount of times that I have like tried to start new positive habits and they just like they just like roll into the gutters, like they do not stick. And it's because I never knew that it takes 90 days for that habit to then become a core part of your lifestyle. And I mean, it's 3 months. It might be a long time for some of you, it might be a short time for others. But honestly, in my opinion, being conscious of the vocab that you use and swapping it out for vocab that allows you to find the gratitude in your earthly existence is definitely worth the 90 days. So, yeah, that's just a little activity from me to you. Hopefully, it's a stepping stone in the right direction so that you guys can be more aware of how the words and phrases we use impact our subconscious and how they influence our happiness and our enjoyment in everyday life. Let me know how you guys go with that one. I love hearing from you guys. It really puts the biggest smile on my face when I hear that my little spills have had a positive influence on your everyday life. So, yeah, if you did enjoy this one, let me know and also share it around with friends as always. But yeah, that is it from me for today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you all so, so much. As always, the world is waiting for you, so get on out there and enjoy your big, beautiful life. Bye.